books and homework, the fun and pictures of another year are done. Exams are finished, the last ones for the sale due after graduation. Soon you'll be here, dreaming about your future. Maybe, like this boy's, right in your hands. For in the hands of photographers will lie much of tomorrow's work, because photographers do many important things you would not even imagine. Kinds of things? Well, to find out, suppose you see first what they do in industry. Take the work photographers do in the aircraft industry as an example. Look in on the Boeing company where the big 707 jet was designed. Photographers already are taking pictures during the early planning stages, like this one of a test in a wind tunnel. Later on, the full-size model is pictured by another Boeing man. Every stage of the plane's development is recorded in pictures. Meanwhile, in the laboratories, technical photographers put samples of metal in microscopes to get pictures which tell about the qualities of metals. These phototechnicians, of course, work very closely with the engineers. Again, at the place where the jet engine is tested, a company photographer with a special camera shoots slow-motion movies, like this, stuck in chunks of ice which an ice storm might bring. Again, in slow motion, a steel bolt, which could be pulled in off a runway. A few nicks on the blades, the only damage. Staff photographers also shoot many X-ray photographs, which detect any weak spots inside the metal parts. When the plane is okayed for production, all the drawings are checked. Then they are copied photographically by the thousands for use in the factory. Here are the 707s in the assembly plant. You can see the plane's metal skin must fit exactly. To do this, drawings of these skins are photographed. A glass negative is the first step. Then phototechnicians put these negatives in a huge camera, which enlarges them onto these metal sheets. Here, the sheets are developed. This work is called photolofting. It replaces copying the skin drawings by hand. These metal sheets become the cutting patterns for the body skins. And here is the end product, ready for testing. Now, staff photographers record many tests, like this one on how far a wing can bend. The picture shows the wing in both its highest and lowest positions. Guess who's underwater? The Boeing photographer, skin diver for a day. Industrial photographers often get these unusual assignments. Finally, actual flight tests. Here, a phototechnician readies a plane tracking device. The telescope eye follows the plane. And this movie camera keeps a picture record of the flight. Then, before takeoff, the plane is fitted with a number of special cameras. This one shows what the wheels do on takeoff. Also, before takeoff, this handy little camera is installed. 3 mirrors take 3 shots at once. In the middle, you're looking straight down on the runway. At top and bottom, you're looking off to each side. From this little plane, flight pictures will be made of the big 707. This chap is a Boeing aerial photographer. Here, he sets an automatic movie camera, which will be turned on by the pilot when he's up alongside the big ship. The aerial cameraman will get more shots from still another plane. As you may know, you can learn aerial photography in the armed services. Before takeoff, the big 707 plane is loaded with test recording cameras and equipment. Company photographers also shoot still pictures of every new plane for publicity and advertising. As you can see, there is plenty of variety in this industrial work. Movies, too. Here, the Boeing crew shoots a training film. Every industry uses such films, so your chances in movie making may be better in industry than, say, Hollywood. Here, it's a film on servicing jet engines. These movie men started with the company as regular still photographers. Another man made still pictures for instruction and servicing manuals. This man is also a photographer, and he might work in industry or government or education. He has the important job of helping people communicate. Here, he's working up a picture slide presentation.
You agree?
Let's see. That's quite obvious what we can expect with this new way, certainly in comparison to the old, and even with our assumed normal. Yes, I think that will do it.
A bar graph is just what you need for this illustration.
Yes, I see what you mean. The bar graph will point it up nicely.
Each paragraph with a sketch to illustrate it goes on a separate card. When the presentation is all on cards, he orders or puts together himself the illustrations for the color slides, like this chart they were discussing. Now, to put them on slides, the main part of his job. This communication job is called audio visuals, sound and picture, a field with many opportunities for young people. Now for the audio, the spoken message, which goes on a tape recorder.
Let's start over again from all right.
All right, when you see the figures put before you in this...
Your job chances in audio visuals in industry, civil service, or education are good because slide presentations are becoming increasingly popular. They can be shown to audiences with only a projector and tape machine.
It's quite obvious what we can expect with this new way, certainly in comparison with the old and...
This is a commercial studio. This photographer runs his own business. He has several young people working for him, getting a start on their careers. Here, they're shooting an illustration for an advertising booklet.
Pipes look fine, Barbara. I think that'll do all right. John, would you raise that light just a bit? Turn it this way a little. Fine. Overhead lights are good. Guess we're all set. Okay, Barbara?
This is how his customer wants the picture.
Looks good.
The girl helps with the kitchenware and all the props, orders dresses for the model, okays her makeup.
All set? Looks fine. Is the apron all right?
And believe it or not, the young man pays no attention to the girls. He's too busy.
Okay, kids.
All set to go?
All set.
Yay. The pie smells so good.
Careful now. We're going to have those later. Okay, let's take position.
Hey, what's
To manage these studios, you have to be a good businessman. So prepare yourself with business courses as well as photography.
All right. Now you look back toward the set. That's it. Face this way just a little bit more. That's it.
This fellow runs the darkroom. He and the other young assistants figure they'll operate their own business someday, and this is good training for them.
You want to turn around and let me check the petticoat? It showed before. I don't know whether it is now or not. It's all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me check this out here.
Color looks terrific, Jen.
Thank you. I love that too.
Hold the hat for me.
That looks good on you too, dear.
Thank you.
You girls who love to draw or sketch the newest styles, keep at it. And it'll help your chances in fashion photography.
Why the ribbon picks up the color? Pretty?
And men, don't laugh at this fellow's position. He gets good pay, and he is good. Or else goodbye.
But leave a little space between. Just a little closer.
The models will tell you the work is not as glamorous as you may think.
That's it. And give a little lean forward on your arm. Good. Now let's see, just a little more. Here. There.
I
Now-
think the petticoat is...
If you live in smaller cities, try for openings in your local studios. But be sure you take art courses in high school or science and business if that's what you're best at.
And just hold it right here in the middle. That's good. All set?
Yes.
All right, come on. Just a little tilt, John. Just a little tilt. Fine. Fine. Now, come on. Give a little. Steady.
Everyone in the studio's art department went to art school. If you have that training, you might get your start here. For most studios need artists. And here, too, you learn fast what makes a successful picture. This news photographer has seen everything.
Ray, there's a fire on Route 21 near Valley Road. You better go.
Okay.
During high school, he sent so many pictures to the editors, they hired him. You have to be rugged for these jobs on papers, newsreels, or TV stations. But if you really have the urge to picture the news, talk with your guidance counselor about your chances. Most news assignments, of course, are not exciting. This banquet is typical.
Madam President, Barbara Johnson, honored guests.
Here you also see a TV station cameraman getting movie shots for the local newscast. If you, like these fellows, think in pictures and already take pictures at school, you'd have a head start on getting these jobs. But forget about this photo reporting unless you love the work. All good newsmen do. Women, too. This girl was on a newspaper and now shoots for national magazines.
Before we get started, please be sure you have your...
Here she's doing a feature story on education.
I have some comments for a new project I have in mind for you for this.
Schneider, would you move over to your close-up, please? Would you come out and stand over here, please? Would you hold the majority of the papers in your left hand, right hand, and hand the sheaf of them to me, please?
Like this?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, Mr. Schneider, would you hold that sheet of paper down just a little?
No.
Good. Let's try one more. Now this one, let me see a little bit more of a smile. Good. Thank you. Your next. What is your name? Good. On this one, Ted, let me see an expression similar to what you might have as you're going into an exam room.
She worked on this story for days.
Good.
And now, she's done.
Enjoyed this. Thank you.
When will these be in the magazine?
Well, roughly 3 to 4 months, I'd say. Is it fun work for a girl? Yes. You meet quite a few people.
Mostly boys, probably.
Well, not necessarily.
Travel much?
That depends on what assignment I might have.
What kind of hours? Is it they're just regular 9-to-5 work?
Oh, no, I'm afraid
Long
not.
hours, long trips from home. Then other people have to develop and finish her photos. Photo finishing work goes on behind the scenes, of course, but it's very important. This woman checks the negatives and selects the ones to enlarge. In most photo finishing plants, you will also find photo technicians like this chap, who is developing color film here. In high school, he took all, as he knows modern photo finishing is a technical subject like chemistry. This girl runs the machine which prints your color snapshots. The plant gave her 4 weeks of training. Now she is an expert at setting these color controls to get the best from every snapshot. And this young technician masterminds a room-sized machine which develops the color snapshots. Here is where they come out. Then they're inspected for color quality, right in this department, where the orders are sorted out as well. Sometimes you can find summer jobs in photo finishing plants. This inspector for color quality also received special training. And this woman inspects your color slides while she mounts them. With these snapshots, each day's work is compared and measured to check the quality. This fellow worked up to become quality control technician. He's responsible for the quality of everything the plant sends out. He took chemistry in a correspondence course for 2 years. Now he reports to the plant manager, who himself began at the bottom while taking science and business courses in night school. Well, here is that photojournalist anxious to see how the magazine uses her school pictures. The art director has them laid out as they will appear in print. In printing her pictures, the presses use black ink. To show gray, you print tiny dots of black which look gray at normal reading distances. To break the picture into dots, it is photographed. This is what photo engravers do. Skilled jobs, highly paid. In this frame, part of a room-sized camera, the picture is photographed through a fine mesh screen. This breaks it into tiny dots. In the negative, you see shades of gray, but magnified, you realize the gray is just a pattern of dots. The negative goes on a sheet of copper, and the white spaces are eaten away by the acid. Then this cleaning leaves the black dots sticking up to catch the printing ink. On the press, the pattern of dots looks like the original photograph. So, after many people's work, the girl's picture story would appear in print much like this. As she'll tell you, it's always a thrill. Now, some behind-the-scenes people you have not met, like this man who is servicing a color snapshot printer. It holds enough electronic equipment for radar and requires much the same skill to service. If you like to experiment with radios and mechanical things, you might do well at this. Some photo technicians work for companies. Some run their own business. You can learn the work in the armed forces, and there are a few technical schools. Your guidance counselors will be glad to talk to you about the opportunities. In camera servicing, you need a fine touch and more patience than a watchmaker. Imagine taking apart and putting together this camera shutter with more than 100 parts. If you're good at assembling those scale model kits, you might have the hand and eye for this job. Snapshot outfits, too, are cleaned and inspected as carefully as watches. Each man takes on a specialty. Most specialties, like this movie camera, take about a month to learn. Now here is a very helpful kind of work. The nurse and the girl on the right who makes X-ray photographs are dressing for the operating room. where these doctors, putting on surgical gloves, will set a broken hip. An X-ray photograph will show if the bone is set right. Here is the X-ray machine the technicians run. They took a 2-year course at a hospital to learn this important work. Your guidance counselor can tell you where to get schooling. The technicians get a lot of satisfaction helping patients.
Are those clips ready?
Yeah.
The X-ray film is in here. This keeps it surgically clean. The film goes next to the hip. And the surgeon moves from the path of the silent X-rays. 2 seconds, and the exposure is made. The technician takes the X-ray film to develop. In a couple of minutes, this automatic machine rolls out the finished X-ray photograph. Now, another patient will return to a useful life, thanks in part to the X-ray techniques. The surgeons study the X-ray picture to see if the patient's bone is set right. The white lines are wires which hold the bone together while it mends. Photographers also play an important part in medicine. For example, a movie of this operation can be studied by many doctors long after it's over. These men and women help doctors in their research. Here, with movies of a human heart. Photography is so useful a tool that whatever profession you enter, you may find opportunities to use it. For instance, this shows how you swallow, an X-ray movie made for a research doctor. More camera magic. A plant grows before your eyes. Only photography can show you this. The pictures help botanists produce better crops. Grains of starch are photographed by a chemist. In any science career, you will find photography useful because it extends your vision. Here, for example, the camera reveals life in living cells. Photography shows crystals growing to help a physicist. An engineer looks inside an engine to make a better engine. Tiny ocean creatures photographed for biological research. Divers exploring the ocean floor may bring up for study pictures they shoot with underwater camera outfits. Exploring the Arctic calls for many picture records. Here is one of the submarine skate as she surfaces on her long trip under the frozen north. This is one photographer with a cool job. Cameras, if not photographers, go along on space flights. This is the Earth whizzing by, caught by cameras in a rocket 90 miles up. Here she goes again. The Earth appears to spin because the rocket is spinning. The tufts of white are clouds, covering 1 million square miles of the Earth. From pictures like these, scientists will someday get more accurate weather predictions. These earlier rockets put the first satellites in orbit. For the scientists in government and industry who work on spaceflight, photography is a full-time helper. For example, into the nose of the rocket goes a camera which brings back pictures of the Earth. And here, a satellite carries picture-making outfits. As the satellite is put in the rocket, a service photographer pictures each step. If anything goes wrong in the launching, these photographic records help spot the trouble. The rocket flight, like astronomers' equipment, the theodolite is a telescope with a camera. There's the movie camera. And here is the telescope it sees with. Every tracking radar also carries a camera. You can see it sticking out back. Now all is ready for this attempt.
5,
Cameras
4,
record it.
3, 2, 1.
What went wrong? Photography may hold the answer. Phototechnicians study hundreds of film records. These photo records tell the story of the flight. When something goes wrong, they may help show why. And when the problem is solved, try again. And again, photography captures the event. So you see, photography, it means fun and snapshots to you now. That same photography can turn into a career later on. And so many of you will be picturing the great ventures of tomorrow.